welcome to another edition of the MyT Sports Minute. I am your host, Calvin Taylor. It's August 3rd, it's a Tuesday, I'm in South Florida. It's about 73 degrees or so, 8 o'clock in the morning. It's one of them days that kind of feel like 84. But, you know what I say, regardless of what time it is, it's always a good time to talk some sports. So let's start talking. Sheldon Richardson, my dude, what are you doing? So, I think I briefly touched on this the other day, or the last time we had this podcast. Welcome, thank you guys for listening. I really do appreciate this. But Sheldon Richardson, my dude, what the are you doing? It's my first reaction. It's still my reaction, but it's my first initial reaction. Because that's my reaction until I hear everybody blowing everything out of proportion. And kind of like, my reaction blew it out of proportion. There's some negatives in there that you just can't deny. The biggest one, to me, because of this day and age, is going to be the fact that there was a 14-year-old kid in the car with him. Because he's being reckless as an adult. That's really what that is. He's being reckless as an adult. That's about it. To me, I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, it was resisting arrest. He was 184. Weed smelled in the car. I'm like, and then he's charged with a misdemeanor. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me in a very weird way. Because that's why, listen, this isn't a bigger deal than the Deflategate. I'll tell you that much. Like, he ain't a cheater of the game of football. But, but he is stupid. I'm going to tell you that much. And in a weird way, when I listen to his apology again, it makes me think that, and very slightly that he was even referring to this incident in a very indirect way. Like, he was like, man, like, I'm even apologizing for this thing that you guys don't even really know about, but I just can't bring it up, right? I don't know how to tell you guys this days after I just pop hot for a urinalysis. Like, it's, like, he should have just manned up, but you guys is, like, if you've never been watched for every little thing that you do, then you don't understand what it is to be able, nobody else has to go to their boss and says, hey, I got arrested for, and because remember, a lot of times what a lot of people do is that, they want these players to be treated like they're regular people, and they hold them by certain standards that are held normally for a regular work environment. Normally you couldn't just go to your boss and blah, 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 blah. You couldn't go to your boss and blah, 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 blah. This is what they say. But if you've never been in this position where you're like someone in the military, somewhere in the national, like say the National Football League, where you just pop hot for your analysis, and if you don't have to let some civilian, unfootball related incident, get back to your unit, get back to your team, then yeah, I would say anything too. At least back then when I was 3 years into the military, or like Sheldon Richardson's 3 years into the National Football League. I could slightly understand that. Like there's, as much as a man you may be, there's something that you that you don't want to disappoint those people. Like, that's still tough. And it takes a couple of times of going through that to realize that you are just way better off just going there and telling them than you are just letting something like that. Because, believe it or not, the people that also are above you, a lot of times they will, if you show that you have any kind of redeeming qualities, they'll be more inclined to help you more than they are to hurt you. And I had to also learn that also in the military. So Sheldon Richardson, so hopefully learn some things from this. But that's why I feel like that apology, in a slight indirect way, he would have loved to have told us. But He couldn't. And for that, as far as that 12-year-old goes, yeah, he's wrong because he should know better as an adult, but he's not really that much an adult. He's 24 years old to a 12-year-old. Like, he's more of a big brother at that point in time than he is an adult. And to that 12-year-old, to go on some random drag race is a thrill. You understand? Like, if I had the opportunity to have a Bentley at 24 years old, let's say 21 years old, right? And I grabbed one of my 12-year-old cousins, right? And I started drag. I would love, like, there's something in you that is gonna want to flaunt that for that. Also for that 12, you have that big brother mentality. You're not thinking like an adult. You're thinking like their bigger brother. Remember, sometimes your bigger brother may just be 3 years older than you. Remember, your bigger brother has somewhat authority over you, but doesn't have a lot of authority over you. So the moment that you make it, it gives you a little bit more authority over those younger siblings. Like, it's a very weird mentality that if you don't, that does it sound like I'm making an excuse for Sheldon Richardson? It may, but I'm just looking at it from a different point of view. I'm looking at it from somebody that may have been in that position before or in similar circumstances. I'm being endearing because, once again, he didn't cheat the game of football. He just made a bunch of stupid decisions, and stupid decisions sometimes are just stupid decisions. You know, they can just be random and just things that are caught up in the moment because you just don't know better than to go against that urge. And sometimes you can't tell people to live in the moment and not tell them not to live in the moment. You understand? That urge to live in the moment is very appealing. Like, and that's where a lot of people like to live their life. Believe it or not. Military people included. It's a form of release. So, why are we bringing up a gun that he has that I haven't heard that was illegal? Like, so apparently he had his registered gun with him in the vehicle. He drives a Bentley. He's a multi-millionaire. I don't know what neck of the wood he was in. I don't know if this drag race was random or if it was planned. But if it was planned, and it's something that's being exchanged for money versus somebody that you may not know that well, I may bring my semi-automatic weapon, which I doubt it is because he had the kid in the car. I don't think he's bringing a kid to something like that, which makes me suspect that this may be random. Also, you realize that they didn't find the random car before, let me get to that. So, why are we bringing up illegal? And really, I really just should go on to the next one. Because why are you bringing up a gun that's legal? For a millionaire 24-year-old that apparently still has some childhood mentalities, you know, that he has a vehicle, he has one in the car in case somebody tries to rob him in his Bentley. Because notice we didn't hear anything about the random car that they couldn't find. Because Sheldon Richardson, just think about it. This is also how stupid he is. He's thinking that he can hide a Bentley in a random park, in a random driveway. Like, not realizing that, like, because unless Bentleys are just common to that neighborhood, you don't think it's not going to be easy for a cop to circle the neighborhood a couple of times and not see a Bentley? You were racing in a Bentley. My dude, come on. Oh, man, I'm telling you, you guys have no clue how much of a potty mouth I really am. Really? Really, B? But then they say, oh, the car smelled like weed. The car smelled like weed. The car smelled like weed. I don't see a problem with that. Sheldon Richardson just failed the urinalysis 12 days ago for weed. If he consistently smoked in his car's gonna smell like weed. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something, because I'm not gonna name names on this, right? I grew up in a very weed-friendly environment. Let's just say that I come from a Jamaican heritage. So every single elder I've known up till the point of about 12 years old or so. So every elder I had direct contact with on a consistent basis until I was about 12 was Jamaican. So I grew up in a very weed, marijuana-friendly environment. So yeah, when these laws are passing for marijuana, I'm happy for it. You know, when when these players are being busted for marijuana, I can sympathize with them at times because I know they're not the only ones doing drugs in the NFL. They're just the only ones doing drugs that don't get out your system for 30 days. I'm not telling them to do drugs that have a shorter lifespan. I'm just saying let's be serious about it. As marijuana, where something that they're probably taking on a daily basis, and the other ones that are taking drugs, they're usually taking them for party habits, and they're usually out of their system within 72 hours, so you're not catching it. People that are usually taking marijuana are usually trying to mellow out on a consistent basis, or usually mellowing out on a consistent basis. They're trying to put their mind at rest. When you have a lot weighing on your conscience, you find a way to put your mind at ease. Some people drink, or they go to drinking every single day, which is where the military kind of forces a lot of people to do, and what society kind of forces you to do. Let's go ahead and corrode those livers and become alcoholics, when all you're really trying to do is sedate yourself and relax. But that's something different. So growing up in a very weed-friendly environment, and I'm getting pressed against the clock here because I really do need to get to work because I need to get to school on a decent time today, and I really do hate dealing with that traffic. Like I said, it's about 7:45 or about 7:47 to be exact, and I want to get out of here very soon. But I'm not going to cheat you of substance, so we're going to continue. So growing up in a very weed-friendly environment, I do remember friends of mine hopping in vehicles of adults I was in a vehicle with on a consistent basis, random adults, like the various adults. And then I remember them always coming to me or whispering in my ear, "Oh my God, the car smells like," "Oh my God," whispering, "the car smells like weed." And I'm looking at them, "What, really?" Because you know what happens? As Fabrice or whoever it is has so clearly showed us, there is something called nose blindness, and you just kind of get used to it, and it gets trapped into your ACs, and it gets trapped into your vents, and even if you haven't smoked in there in a week, when you turn on that AC, it may come gushing out of your AC to anybody, and they smell it very potently if they're not a weed smoker, if there's not something they're consistently around, because it's not something that they have become used to. I could compare it to somebody that works in a fish market for 12 years and the random person that goes shopping in there once a month. Like, you're not smelling the same thing that they're smelling. So when they say that, "Oh, his car smelled like weed, but how did you not get a weed charger? How did they not charge him for weed?" Well, guess what? There was no weed. His car just smelled like weed because most likely in the past that was his place of chiefing. That's where he smoked. And you can't just get that out. That scent. Weed smoke definitely does linger, and to the smoker, you don't smell it. To the non-smoker, they smell it every single time they pass you by. Listen, it becomes part of your aura. So I'm not too hard on him about that, because you can't charge him for the smell of something just because you think that he had it. Like I said, there was no weed in the car, but the car smelled like weed. You can't pinpoint when he smoked weed in the car. Because guess what? They didn't test him for weed at that time. They didn't test his intoxication level. So, I don't even understand what we're talking here about the weed. And, listen. I was going to put, thank God I didn't put this out yesterday morning like I wanted to, and I waited till today, because I got a chance to hear a lot of these people's response to him speeding. They asked, "What's the fastest you've gotten a vehicle up to?" And somebody said 110, and then thought, "Oh my God, what am I doing? Oh, you old fuddy-duddy walk by the straight line." Also, let me not even say that. I'm going to assume you've never had the advantage of driving in Germany. Because once again, I've had the advantage of driving in Germany, which means I've driven on the Autobahn. I have pushed a minivan to about 160, 170, 180-ish. We put a minivan on two wheels, not for nothing. So when he said he's going 184, I've been in vehicles that have gone 184. Thank you to my man Haas and his Camaro. Yeah. And if you're speeding or if you're drag racing and a cop all of a sudden clocks you going 184, I mean, yes, I know now that he hit in a parking lot. He drove away and hit in a driveway. Because, like I said, I did start writing this before some other details came to me. I was like, how is it a resistant arrest if you're going 184? You need time to catch up to me. I'm not really running from you. You just haven't caught up yet. But then I heard, oh, he tried to hide and put on his brake lights. And yeah, once again, how the hell do you hide a Bentley and how do you forget to put on and not take your foot off the damn brakes? Like, you have got to, like, I'm not even gonna say he has got to be the stupidest effer I've heard of lately than the last dude that cheddar bobbed himself that used to be in New York. But you see where he's making this dumb decision after dumb decision after dumb decision. Like it's a cycle of things. Like these are all, but you understand, these are all thrills to him. Most likely, these are all thrills, and that's probably what he needs to find a way to release. Is that when you don't have that thrill of football or whatever you're doing, like how do you get that out of your system? Because that is, trust me, something that a lot of people that listen, I have problems with at times. That I still seek the thrill of the military, and I take that out in my personal life now. Like when I have downtime, I go ham. He's going ham, and he needs to learn to tone it down. He needs to find a way to go ham and not be illegal with it. And I think that's probably his biggest problem at this point in time. And if you hear that little jingling, it's probably the orange juice that I was probably having a sip on. So right now, I guess he has this court case, or he may not have this court case because he got tried for something very, very minute. And at the end of the day, as a Jet fan and as everything else, I still think that he needs to be suspended an additional 12 games because he's stupid. Like you can't because at the end of the day, you can't reward bad behavior. You can't reward bad behavior. And Sheldon Richardson, and you know what? I don't even think that the Jets should even wait for the league to come down. And maybe this is something that more teams should take an initiative on. That they should really start suspending these guys beforehand because it's really not clicking as it should. And maybe if the teams felt that, because you know what, and the thing about it, the teams want the players to feel like they have their back, and so they don't want to look at bad guys. That's the reason why they have people like Roger Goodell, so that they can say, oh, we have this much. But listen, you know what? If you don't want to suspend him yourself, Jets, then guess what? Give the NFL your suggested suspension for him. You know what? Say, hey, you know what? We suggest that you suspend him an additional 8 games on top of the 4 games he's already suspended. Make him suspended for 12 games. Yeah, make him miss 3/4 of the year. He'll learn his lesson when he's sitting there for 3/4 of the year with no pay. And then he finally has to come back and see what this team is doing without him. See how much this team really doesn't need him. And he'll come out, he'll ball his butt out. And then when he gets lowballed the next year on a contract, he'll remember why. He'll come back, it'll hit him. That, oh, maybe I shouldn't be such a dumbass. Yeah. The Jets should even wait for the league. The Jets should say, hey, we suggest you suspend him an additional 8 games. We want him going for 12 whole games. And leave it at that. Because Sheldon Richardson is stupid. But there's somebody else. Yeah. Did you see that girl fight? Woo! Man, Ronda Rousey does it again. You know what, man? And again, in under 1 minute, she finishes another opponent. Not only does she finish with another opponent, she knocks out her second opponent. I'm so mad. So mad. I was gonna suggest, man. Because I won a bet on the only other time she has knocked somebody out. And I was going to call it for this one. See, this is when you should do things, but whatever. That's neither here or there. But it's the second time she's going to knock somebody out. And she Peter McNeely, that girl. I don't know if any of you guys remember Peter McNeely. And the reason I bring up Peter McNeely, because she is also the baddest woman on the planet. Yes, that's the reason why she gets what she gets from me. She is... she is that good to me. Bad. Yeah. She is definitely the baddest woman on the planet. The second coming of Mike Tyson in this packaged, beautiful blonde bombshell form. Man, you understand that her 45 seconds overshadows every single fight on the fight card? And there was some bad fights on that fight card. Bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? When you see all these memes, I want a bad chick. Ronda Rousey's a bad chick. She's hands down a bad chick, man. I'll tell you the cutest thing ever. I don't even want to tell you about several of these because I just want to. My niece calls her Rowdy. She calls her ring around the Rousy. It's the funniest thing ever. But no, she's pulling these people apart, and I just like to see her fight. I like to see her fight. I like to see her act. I would love to meet Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's a bad chick, and you can't you don't get any better than that. And she's blowing the sport away, like, and it makes sense. It lets you understand why there's 7 fights on a card that she's on, because you know that when you go and watch her fight, it's not lasting long. So you have to prepare for not only her short fight, but you know what though? I'm gonna tell you something. You know, in the past where they've had pay-per-view events, and because of the limited number of fights that they were saying, there's only like 5 fights on the card. If a fight ends early, then if you're watching a television product, then you get to watch a prelim fight before. A lot of times, a lot of people have already watched the prelim fights. I'm guessing if you're sitting there in the stands or in the stadium or wherever it is, then you just have down period of nothingness. You're getting popcorn, you're getting soda, you're getting food, you're using the bathroom, but there's a lot of downtime. With this 7-card fight thing, because you know that your champion, your main card, is probably not going to last more than 3 minutes, and if you're lucky, you'll get 8 out of her on one random event, I think, then yeah, you build up the rest of the fight card. It's really a brilliant move. And then even not just knowing that she's gonna have a short fight card, but let's say you get a short fight out of any of those fights, then guess what? Now you don't have to worry about downtime, and you don't have to worry about showing a prelim fight on your television product. You could just move on, give 5-10 minutes of analysis, tell them, hey, you're prepping, you were gonna go on earlier than expected. So now everybody, instead of getting now a set time that they go on, now you get a window of time that you may go on, depending on how soon a fight may end. You tell them, hey, we're gonna prep, we're gonna talk some, you're gonna be on in the next 10-15 minutes. Now instead of having a real extended time, I'm gonna tell you, some of those time periods are really were bad. So, and I don't even think that the 10 minutes is gonna be what it is. These guys should be warmed up, but I'm assuming that it was something along that nature, for a production standpoint as well. So, yeah, it made sense to me. You had 7 fights on there, and it didn't end until 1 because, you know what, you're going to sit there and watch all 7 fights to wait to see her fight, even though it was 45 seconds, because you know what? As great as that undercard was, those other fights were, even the prelims were excited. She stole the whole damn show. Because Ronda Rousey, thank you guys for listening. This is another edition of the Mighty Sports Minute. Man, don't forget to follow me at my blog whenever I do decide to write anything again. It's at mightysports.wordpress. Then, as you know, I have a YouTube page that's going to be coming out pretty soon. Facebook page and YouTube, MyT Sports. That's MYT Sports. Thank you.